Hey, welcome to my review of Black Veil Bride's album VALE. This album is probably the most polarizing one, I would say, out of Black Veil Bride's albums to date. It was very unsure of where the future of the band was going to go. This was potentially their last album at the time, and it kind of was. They kind of split up afterwards, but I personally really like this album. I know a lot of Black Veil fans prefer the heavier albums. They don't like the kind of more poppy style of some of the songs on here, but I personally think it is a really good album. Not my favorite, but still really good. It's also very important to explain that it has literally been like 6 months since I posted my last video on this channel. So there's going to be a lot of changes of the channel coming forward. If you don't want to hear about all that and just want to see the ranking, then please skip to the time on screen. But basically, I've gotten a job, and applying for college and just schoolwork in general is way too much for me to fully script all my videos. It took way too long, and I don't have the time to do it anymore, or the motivation. So in all my future videos, pretty much, their videos are going to be very, very lightly scripted. I won't be reading from a script completely. I'll have like bullet points of specific things I want to talk about for the songs, but it'll be more personal. I won't be going off of a set script. It'll be more of a just whatever comes to mind in the moment. And that's basically what'll happen. So the videos are definitely going to be a much different style, but I'm hoping that it will get rid of some of the previous, monotone kind of vibes a lot of my earlier videos had, as well as just be a little bit more personal and not totally robot. So without that said, please enjoy the video. Alright, coming in last place, number 11 is Dead Man Walking. This is, I believe, Black Veil Bride's longest song, runtime-wise. It's like 8 minutes. Part of that is because of the overture section at the end, which is, I believe, about 2-ish minutes of the song. It's still a long song otherwise, but despite that, it's one of Black Veil Bride's most forgettable pieces. I think there are definitely some good parts, like one of the guitar solos near the bridge, but overall, none of the parts are specifically memorable in a way that would make me return to the song a lot. It's a bit too drawn out, and the parts that are drawn out aren't really worth being drawn out, I should say. So this really comes down to Dead Man Walking is not really my style of song, especially not from Black Veil Brides. I think there's obviously there's some Black Veil Brides flair here, but it's not enough to save this kind of lackluster song. I give it a 7 out of 10, which is pretty middle tier of song. It's fine. It's really not bad, but it's not anything special either. Alright, coming in at number 10 is Our Destiny, which is a very slight improvement over Dead Man Walking, mostly because it's just not overdrawn out. It actually is a normal song length, and the thing that I heard the first time I listened to this song and every time after it is it's literally just a worse version of Breaking Benjamin's The Diary of Jane, like melodically. If you listen to the chorus, it's very similar to the Diary of Jane's chorus. And the only really good thing I can say about the song is the guitar riffs, especially at the end and the beginning. And I guess the bridge is fine, but the lyrics are lackluster again. It's a very similar issue to Dead Man Walking in that way, where Black Veil Brides, they still have the awesome guitar riffs at parts, but the rest of the song is just not enough. It's not enough to compensate for the rest of the song, which is just, again, not bad, but it's just a little forgettable. Coming in next is Ballad of the Lonely Hearts. This is one that is so, I don't want to say disappointing, because it has one of my actually favorite things on the entire album, the bridge, which is amazing. It might be my favorite bridge on the album, and if not my favorite, then like very high up. But the reason it's so low is that the rest of the song is the worst song on the album. Maybe even Black Veil Bride's worst song, or one of them, like very near the bottom. The bridge completely saves it though, saves it from being way last place. That's the only good thing about the song. The rest of it's just really boring. The melody is super, just not that great. I don't like the lyrics until the bridge. Even though the bridge's lyrics are even a lot better than everything else. The bridge transition, like the transition from the second chorus to the bridge, is amazing. It slows everything down, brings the guitars in, and have that guitar harmonies with the solo. And I can't stress enough how great this bridge is. And it's just such a shame that this bridge wasn't given a good song around it, because if it had been given a great song, this could be one of my favorites on the album for sure. It just doesn't get there for me personally, except for the bridge. Alright, coming up at number 8 is the first entry on this list that I would say qualifies in the A tier, The King of Pain. Now, this one used to be actually my least favorite on the record, but it has climbed the ladder over time because I used to put way too much weight into the one part that says, "Where is the spark that won't fade away?" That specific section of the song is probably the worst thing on the album, or at least one of them. And I was kind of hearing that part when I first listened to the album. I was like, okay, that part is really bad, so I don't like this song. But the rest of the song is, for the most part, really good. I think the first chorus is not as good, but all the choruses after the first one are really good. I like the melody. It's not incredible, but it is good, and the guitars and instrumentals around it are nice. And the ending especially is probably my favorite part. It has that guitar solo at the end, which is actually the thing that got me to move it up to a 7.5 out of 10. So there's really not that much to say. I think the lyrics they're not great, but they do fine enough to where I don't feel bad about giving the song the A tier. That's pretty much all I have to say. Let's move on to number 7. Outsider, which is a song that's moved around my ranking a lot over time. I think what keeps The Outsider safe from being below this is the good guitar harmonies. I really like some of those harmonies that come in, even in the beginning, that one's pretty cool. Just throughout the whole song, the guitar pretty much carries. The vocals are fine, but they're not a standout by any means. The guitar, again, where it shines the most, I think, is the bridge, specifically the beginning of the bridge, with that funky kind of drum-driven riff, along with the guitars, is really nice. The vocal section of the bridge, though, kind of ruins the bridge. It's pretty lame, if I'm being honest. The guitars do balance it out, though, and, again, at the end of the song, the guitars come back in and are really good. I think that's what saves it for me. The little guitar licks and like the solo, not a solo, but the guitar in the background at the end behind where Andy's saying, "I am the outsider," is really good. I actually really like that. Number 6, VALE, the title track of this record. Now, if you notice on the rating that I gave it, 7.5, there's a little asterisk at the end, which basically means that in the right conditions, this song can jump up multiple spaces. This is probably the biggest grower out of all of the songs in the album because, well, for one, it's the closer. So if you're listening to the whole record, this is going to shine a lot more than just if it's in a playlist. The thing that especially makes that true is the lyrics, which the lyrics are just, because of the fact that the band had such a tough time with each other, it just breaks my heart. The lyrics are beautiful, heart-wrenching. They're really good at making me feel bad, which sometimes that's what you need. You just need a song to hit you right in the feels. And the progression as well really contributes to that. It starts off very slow, not a lot of drums, just nothing crazy. But then the bridge is where it really takes off. You finish the second chorus, which I like the chorus. It's musically not amazing, but the lyrics and just the vibe of it bring it up a ton, and that's the main selling point of the song is the chorus, especially the last one, which I'll get to in a second. So the bridge, after the second chorus, it brings everything down and starts a guitar solo, which I adore. This is probably my second favorite bridge on the album behind Ballad of the Lonely Hearts. Wake Up's in there somewhere, but I don't know. This is really good. This bridge is amazing. It really sets the tone for the rest of the song. And then the last chorus, I love the progression aspect of it. It has everything the second chorus had, but amplifies it. And especially at the very end when Andy repeats, "I can't bring it back together," or whatever he says, in a higher tone, that's just breaks your heart in all the best ways. I love Vale personally. I think it is a great closer for this album. And though it's only number 6 in this video, at the right time, it's could definitely be number 1. Next up is another track that can jump at the right time. Not as much as Vale. When They Call My Name, being one of the earlier songs on the album, it was meant to bring some variation to a much more like heavy record, even though the record's not incredibly heavy. When They Call My Name is kind of a melodic metal type thing, I think. Musically, it's not anything special, honestly. It's not incredible. It does its job fine. Its song, though, is carried completely by the lyrics. The lyrics are the only reason this song is not number 7 or 8, to be honest. I don't also love the O's after the chorus. I don't love when bands use O's a ton. Black Veil has a habit of doing that from time to time, which isn't the best thing ever, but they don't use it as egregiously as a lot of other bands do. I don't hate it, I guess I could say. Other than that, though, the vocals are very good. Andy does a great job. There's a lot of great harmonies, especially in the chorus. But yeah, the lyrics definitely carry it. The whole thing, I watched an interview with Andy where he said he basically wrote these lyrics about his relationship with his wife, whose name I'm forgetting. I'm a fake fan. But anyways, one more thing, the bridge, it's a little disappointing. It starts off right after the second chorus with no warning, just goes into a guitar solo with like no drums at the beginning. And that specific part of the guitar solo I don't think is great. It's fine, but it's really forgettable. But it eventually gets better. And the transition into the last chorus after the bridge is pretty nice. And despite what I said earlier about the O's, I do quite like the ending of the song. Even though it ends with O's, there's enough stuff going on in the background, and just being the end of the song, having that emotional aspect is a bigger deal than a random place in the song. With number 4, I chose to put Throw the First Stone. Now, when I first listened to this album, there was a point at which I could have said this might be my favorite on the album. Now, of course, it's at number 4, but still, the main reason for that is the chorus. I don't know what it is exactly. I think it's the harmonies, the vocal harmonies, that carry it a lot. It gives this really epic atmosphere that feels like a boss battle. The guitar along with that is amazing. The guitar for the whole song is just really solid and good. Also, I honestly don't know if I'm just reading way too far into this, but the post-chorus where it says, "Fear, hate, love, take this to your grave." If you know the song God Hates Us by Avenged Sevenfold, I think it says like love, hate, fear. And I don't know if that's just a coincidence. I know that Black Veil and Avenged Sevenfold are like close as bands, and they know each other, so I don't know. I haven't seen anybody point this out before, but I feel like if that is a reference, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize until recently when I started listening to Avenged Sevenfold. But anyway, tangent over. The guitar solo in the bridge is really nice. It kind of has a little bit of that funkiness that The Outsider had, but better, I guess. The song just is really good sounding all around. There's nothing bad I can really say about it. It's just a very, very solid track. I think it's well written. The lyrics are pretty cool. While obviously it's Black Veil Brides, the lyrics are rarely going to be amazing. I think these lyrics do their job like most of the songs do, as sounding cool, and I don't think they really need to do a whole lot more than that in a lot of cases. And the ending is also really nice. I like it. That's it. Let's move on. Alright, number 3, which is very hard to decide. I decided to put My Vow at number 3 with an 8.5 out of 10. Now, the thing that carried My Vow, you can hear it in the first few seconds of the song, the first second even. It's the opening riff. Has a little bit of a Metallica feel with some of it. I also really like in the intro where Andy goes, "Huh," and then the riff, the guitar stays the same pace, but the drums slow down a lot, and it gives this really cool, like, not progression thing, but it creates some variance, which I really like. And the whole song continues that quick, atmosphere from the guitar with the vocals as well. The verses are almost rapping by Andy, honestly. They give this kind of Metallica, you know how Metallica sometimes did some almost rapping in their verses, like songs like The Struggle Within. It's a similar thing here. But where my vow falls off for me is the chorus. It's nice. The chorus is nice, but that's it. It doesn't hold up to the rest of the song. It's a solid, fine chorus, but it is the weakest part for me. And it kind of doesn't have that angry energy that the rest of the song has that I like it for, but still, it's still a very, very good song. I just need to mention another time, the riff, guys, the riff is amazing. Oh yeah, anyways, the bridge is also very silly. I like how they had another riff that's similar to the first one. They made it very silly and zany, and just, it's funny, honestly, but it still sounds good. And the transition into the last chorus is nice as well. The chorus, though, again, it's fine. After the last chorus, though, we get we get that riff from the bridge again to finish off the song, and I love the very ending where it goes doo-dum dum dum doo-dum dum dum. I think that's a really good way to end off this hard-hitting song, and it's just a very solid track all around. Alright, number 2, with the album opener, if you don't count the Incipiens Ad Feminem or whatever it's called, the last one, which is also rated an 8.5, but it's has a pretty noticeable improvement over my vow. Still though, I think this is a great opener for the album. It really sets the tone really well for the rest of the record. It starts off with the piano, at the very beginning, have this ominous vibe, and then with very little warning, the guitar and drums come in, and you're just hit with this. Let's just say, if I was a Black Veil Brides fan in 2018 when this album came out, I would be ecstatic when I heard this intro. Even just the intro of the last one would be enough to get me super excited. The progression throughout the whole song stays really good. The riff in pretty much the whole song, is really epic. It does a very good job of setting the tone, like I said. The verses after that are good too. The chorus even is really nice, even though the lyrics are pretty lacking and there's not really anything going on there. It's classic Black Veil Brides to make a pretty much nothing lyrically chorus, but make it sound really good, and honestly, that's kind of enough for me in most of these cases. Also, the addition of a lot of string instruments throughout the song is really cool. It's not their best usage of strings, even on the album, but I think it's pretty cool. And the one really cool lyric from the song is the Legion of the Underground, which is in the chorus, and I just think that's cool. But the bridge is my favorite part of the song, like it is for most Black Veil songs. The vocal section of the bridge at the beginning builds really good intensity for the guitar solo, which is definitely my favorite part. I think when Andy says, "and wash away our fear," yeah, it transitions really nicely into the guitar solo, because you're thinking after that vocal part that it's gonna have some huge solo right away with a bunch of shredding, but everything goes downwards. All the instrumentals shift down, and for this really funky and gritty guitar solo, doom, 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 which I love that contrast there. Eventually it does go into a shredding guitar solo, which is also a really, really cool solo. I love it a lot. The strings end off the song along with the guitar in a really cool, silly way that I like. The song's not taking itself too seriously, in other words. I think it's a very fun track to listen to, has very fun energy, and I think it was a great tone setter for this record. And it is also a great lead-in to the next track on the record in order, which is also my number 1 on this list. Yep, number 1, as you probably all expected, is Wake Up. The Big single from Vale. It is my favorite on the album, obviously, number one. I like the. I think the guitar is the real selling point for this song. Even though the vocals is probably the best song on the album vocally, I would probably say. It's also one of the best, if not the best, guitar wise as well. It immediately hits you with the O's, which I don't love the O's in this song a ton, but it's it's forgivable for sure. The "Oh wake up" that part is really cool, and you're thinking at the beginning of the song with the heavy drums in the first few seconds this is gonna be a super heavy song, but it's really not. It's more of a fun, just like carefree. We're gonna we're gonna conquer everything in front of us type energy, which I like, and it goes along with the music video, of course. The guitar in the verses is a really cool addition. You can notice the in the verses along with the vocals, which is it's a small addition, but it really adds a lot to the song, in my opinion. And the song as a whole it is kind of heavy. It's one of the heavier songs on the record, but you can't really tell. It's definitely not overbearing. It's a very well balanced song, heaviness wise. And that also applies to the chorus, which is one of my favorite Black Veil Brides choruses. Black Veil Brides is one of the best chorus bands, I guess I could say. They have amazing choruses, better than almost any other band I listen to. And Wake Up is a great example of that. It's one of their catchiest choruses. It just sounds great. And the post-chorus of bringing back in the intro, the Wake Up part, is really cool. And I already talked about the guitar in the verses, but the second verse shines even brighter than the first, guitar-wise. While the vocals in the second verse are a little weird-ish. It's not a problem, but they're not as good as the first verse. The guitar totally saves that, and the kind of in the background of the second verse is really cool. And that brings us to the second chorus, which I've already talked about, and then the bridge, which is just, it's great. The guitar solo might be, it's one of my favorite solos on the record. The ending is also great with the wake up part coming back in, but heavier and kind of more in your face, and they're repeated twice, which brings up a little bit more intensity towards the end, and it ends with the "Oh, wake up" with heavier drums, which is just a great way to end it. Overall, this is super catchy song that I really like, and it's always kind of been number one or number two on this ranking, but after a while I have put it into number one and the sole S tier song on this album. Well, there you have it. That was my review of Black Veil Bride's Veil. It is my favorite album cover out of Black Veil Bride's albums. I really love the cross thing and the gargoyles, the skeleton type looking gargoyles. The colors are really nice. The energy of the album as a whole, sonically, even though it was a very tough time for the band and the band members and everything, I think the energy they created in this album was really cool, despite all of that. I think they hit it very well. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Veil. I'm very excited to hopefully getting back into making YouTube videos. It'll definitely be less frequent. I used to upload almost every week, but I'm not going to be able to do that anymore, even with this new format where I don't fully script everything. I do enjoy making these videos. I'm sad that I haven't been able to do it lately, but hopefully I will be publishing videos much more often from now on. I would like to finish my Black Veil Bride series before I go to college, which has, I believe, 4 more videos in it after this one. This is 5 out of 9 in the series. So if you haven't watched the previous videos in the Black Veil Bride series, I completely recommend checking them out. My Wretched and Divine video is probably my favorite one I've ever done. It's like 40-something minutes long, I think. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day, guys.